I heard her scream in agony. My own daughter, my little angel, was being tasered by Karen. My eyes went red. This is how it all started. Welcome to my channel, the HOA Storytime. Make sure you like and subscribe for your premium HOA drama. I never backed her when she campaigned for our votes during the last HOA elections. I knew she wasn't qualified and that she was going to be a tyrant. And I wasn't quiet about it either. I said it loud, clear, and over that Karen would turn this neighborhood into a total nightmare if she ever gained power. But people, being the naive fools they were, voted her in with smiles and cupcakes at the HOA clubhouse like they were choosing the community's new hero. I hoped maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I was too critical. Maybe Karen had some hidden leadership talent I couldn't see. Spoiler alert, she didn't. The very day she was sworn in, right there in the dusty clubhouse, she made it obvious. After droning through a tedious speech about community order and discipline, she walked over to me while neighbors were busy drinking free soda. She leaned in close enough for me to smell her stale coffee breath and whispered, "I'm going to make this neighborhood hell for you." My head tilted, confused. I thought I misheard. Maybe she was kidding. Maybe she was drunk. But the way her eyes gleamed, sharp and poisonous, told me she meant every single word. I laughed it off at first. Karen had always been overdramatic, always eager to boss people around. But I didn't think she'd go nuclear just to spite me. Unfortunately, I was about to learn how far her pettiness reached. From that day, her shadow loomed over me like a curse. Every morning felt like a test she'd designed just for me, as if running the HOA was her chance to play God and I was the sole target of her sick revenge. And trust me, Karen was only getting started. Before we dive in deeper, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching the story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. The next few weeks felt like I was living under a military regime, except the general was a middle-aged woman with a terrible wig and an even worse attitude. I got fined for everything. Trash bins a minute late on collection day? Fined. Lawn slightly taller than allowed? Fined. Breathing with the wrong nostril? You guessed it, fined. At first, I chalked it up to her being an overeager rookie trying to enforce rules. But it didn't take long to realize I was the only one on her hit list. My neighbors left their bins out for days, grass growing like a wilderness, and Karen turned a blind eye. Meanwhile, I sneezed too loud, and suddenly I owed $50. The pettiness reached a new peak when I got a letter stamped with the HOA seal. I opened it, expecting another ridiculous fine. But this one nearly made my blood boil. It claimed the HOA was taking more serious action to curb noise disturbances in the neighborhood. My daughter Emily, a cheerful 7-year-old who loves singing Disney songs and laughing with her friends, was labeled in the letter as a notorious loud and obnoxious noisemaker. I had to reread it twice. My kid? A menace? Karen had finally lost whatever sanity she had left. The letter didn't stop there. It accused Emily of vandalism and warned that if I didn't control her behavior, more extreme measures would be taken. That last line stuck to me like glue. Extreme measures against a child? My hands shook with rage, and I paced my kitchen, wondering if Karen had actually written this crazy garbage or if some other board member had gone rogue. But no, it reeked of Karen's brand of spite. Emily wasn't a troublemaker. She didn't vandalize anything. She was a kid full of energy, yes, but harmless. She played with the neighbor's son on the porch, drew chalk rainbows on the driveway, and laughed until her belly hurt. And for that, Karen was turning her into a criminal. My jaw clenched. I could tolerate the fines, the petty harassment, even the constant stares when I drove by. But the moment she came for my daughter, the game changed. What Karen didn't know was that she just poked the wrong bear, and my patience had run out. It happened just 4 days after I got that crazy letter. I remember it clearly because it was one of those deceptively peaceful afternoons. Emily was on the porch with our neighbor's boy, coloring with chalk and giggling like kids should. I sat nearby, sipping a cold drink when my phone buzzed from inside the house. I stepped in for a quick second to grab it. Big mistake. Seconds later, a scream tore through the air. Not just any scream, my daughter's. My blood froze. I bolted out the door, and that's when I saw it. Karen, standing over my child with a taser pressed against her tiny arm, electricity crackling. My heart nearly exploded. Everything in me snapped. My vision blurred red, adrenaline pumping like jet fuel. I charged forward without thinking. One swing, just one, and my open palm connected with Karen's smug face. The smack echoed like thunder. She flew backwards, stumbling until she hit the ground, dazed and gasping. For a moment, it looked like she'd pass out right there on my lawn. I dropped to my knees, scooping Emily up. She sobbed into my chest, her little body trembling. I checked her over, frantic, while neighbors started gathering, their mouths hanging open. Some recorded on their phones, others shouted in disbelief. Karen, sprawled on the grass, tried to pull herself together, clutching her face with one hand and pointing at me with the other, screeching something about assault. Assault? She had just electrocuted a child. I stood, shielding Emily behind me, my chest heaving like a cornered lion. Karen tried to get up, wobbling like a drunk, her taser still on the ground. I stepped on it, grinding it into the dirt with my shoe so she couldn't reach it again. The crowd murmured louder, cameras flashing as Karen screeched and stumbled, her once perfect hair sticking out like she'd been struck by lightning herself. Neighbors whispered, "She tasered a kid. She's lost her mind. Call the cops." The whole scene had turned into a neighborhood circus. And for the first time since she took office, Karen wasn't the one in control. She was the one caught in the spotlight. The sirens came fast. Police cruisers rolled up, lights flashing, neighbors huddled in clusters, whispering like they just witnessed a gladiator match. Two officers separated me and Karen, who was still screeching with one hand on her cheek and the other flailing around like she was auditioning for a bad soap opera. Emily clung to me, her tiny fists clutching my shirt. One of the officers gently took her, promising to have paramedics check her right away. Karen wasted no time. "He hit me! He attacked me for no reason!" she shouted, her voice cracking as she pointed at me. But the cop just raised an eyebrow, holding up the taser bagged as evidence. Another officer had already interviewed neighbors who showed the video of Karen zapping a 7-year-old. Her entire lie was unraveling faster than a cheap sweater. We were both taken into custody. Procedure, they said. At the station, Emily underwent medical tests to make sure she hadn't suffered lasting damage. Thankfully, she was okay, shaken but safe. Karen, however, was determined to play victim. She filed charges against me for assault, trying to paint me as some unhinged maniac who'd attacked her out of nowhere. Court day arrived, and the courtroom was packed. Karen strutted in like a peacock, bandage on her face for dramatic effect. But when the evidence was presented, the taser, Emily's medical report, multiple eyewitness testimonies, and even cell phone footage, her case collapsed like a house of cards. The judge's words were crystal clear. "You acted to protect your child from imminent harm. That is not assault. That is instinct. And the law will never punish a parent for saving their child's life." Karen's jaw nearly hit the floor. My charges dismissed on the spot. But Karen, that was a different story. She was charged with assault with a weapon, child endangerment, and slapped with civil liabilities. The gavel dropped, and she got 7 years in prison. On top of that, she was banned from owning firearms or tasers ever again. As if that wasn't enough, she was ordered to pay me $300,000 in damages for the trauma she inflicted. The neighborhood finally saw her for what she really was, a petty tyrant who thought power meant untouchable. Her downfall wasn't just legal, it was absolute humiliation. The end. Please like and subscribe for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.